Hold on. Get this all set. Good morning, all iLive listeners. This morning we have a special guest. His name is Azam Mohammed Taher, and he's a young gentleman, only 22 years old. He has his own gym, and he started real young with athletics, and he was a trainer, and now he's a business owner. Azam, how you doing?
Good man, good man. Thank you very much, Mike, for having me on the show. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, my man.
No,
I'm
for
doing
sure.
great. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. We really appreciate you here. Tell us, walk us through how you got started with fitness and, what sports you played and how this all started.
Absolutely, man. Well, it started from I'm an immigrant, right? So I mean, I came all the way from Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
We lived in a country called Tajikistan, which is a small country by Russia. And for me, I came to Canada when I was 7. But
Wow.
for me, all I knew and all I loved was growing up playing soccer out in the streets of Tajikistan, and then coming to Canada with absolutely nothing. All
Yeah.
I knew was a ball and, my feet and my legs, right? So I just kind of, started kicking the ball around too when I came here, I just loved running, playing soccer, doing whatever I can to stay active. So
Yeah.
my dad said, you know what? We got to put this guy into sports. So at the age of 8, he put me into Taekwondo. So from
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo, yes. So I did Taekwondo and I did boxing from
Yeah.
the age of eight to the age of 13. I was a national champion at the age of 10,
Jeez. What kind of training
winning
did you guys do when you were doing that?
at 8 years old, man. They never treated us like we were 8, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
just such a disciplined, hard sport, doing push-ups on our knuckles. If you couldn't do
I
one,
could
no problem, you
imagine.
still got to do it. Yeah, so it was just a lot of body weight, calisthenics, and sit-ups, crunches, pull-ups, push-ups, doing a lot of pattern work, and then sparring at the end of the session. Each session was like 3 hours long, man. Running outside barefoot, you know what I mean? They had us running outside on concrete, brother, bare feet. You know what I mean? With no shoes on, because that's
Oh
how
my God.
they said you kill the nerves at the bottom of your feet. You just kind of you got to keep running through it. If you hit a rock, you hit a rock. So be it,
Now,
right?
did that
So
work? The
it
running
did.
on the
It
barefoot?
did. Absolutely, bro. I mean, my feet were disgusting after that, but it definitely helped. And then, they had us doing dips on like the rocks outside the park. For us, it created that discipline and it created that dedication to the sport, right? So for me, it was, yes, I did fighting and MMA and boxing. I did all of that growing up. I got
Hmm.
into after that. I got and mind you, I was doing sports at school. I was playing every single sport that I can join:
Really?
basketball, volleyball, badminton, soccer, football, flag football, whatever the case is. I played every single sport in public school, elementary school, ran cross country, ran track, did long jump, all of that. So I was an athlete literally my whole life. But the one sport that stood up to me was volleyball.
Okay.
And volleyball was a sport I just loved. I absolutely loved it. I was a star in the middle school, public school. We won cities, we won regionals, we did all that, captain all years. I just
Wow.
loved it, But for me, I didn't have money. You know what I mean?
Right.
My parents were still immigrants, right? Where they were still adapting to the culture of Canada, the culture of the city, being in a Western world, coming with absolutely nothing in their pockets. I just didn't have money to go join a competitive volleyball club,
Right.
and then it started off at the age of 15, which was grade 9. So after I
Mhm.
graduated middle school, going into high school, I tried out for the team, in the high school team. Coach loved me. He's like, bro, you're vertical, how you're playing, it's amazing. He's like, do you
Yeah.
play club? I'm like, my man, I don't play club at all. And before this, I was playing soccer competitively, just a little rep team for about two
Right.
years. But soccer wasn't the true passion. The true passion was volleyball, but it
Yeah.
was a very expensive sport to join.
Yeah.
So what I did after that was I got into volleyball, and this guy's like, listen, man, there's a club that's looking for a player. I
Yeah.
said, Coach, I don't got a lot of money, eh? Like I'm just here, I pay 500 for soccer. It's not bad. Like my dad, tries his best. He's working
Yeah.
night shifts. Like he's trying to get us going and trying to do whatever he can to help me join, right? And then he's like, listen, just go to the club, go to the tryouts, talk to the coach. He might be able to help you out. And then we can just go from there. I said, okay, no
Yeah.
problem, man. So I went into that. And mind you, I thought I was really good
Hmm.
because I was playing high school ball
Yeah.
until I went to rep. And I'm like, damn, these guys are, I thought I was good. Nah, I'm
Totally
crap compared
different.
to these guys. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
benched. I'm like, I can't
Oh
play like the
man.
way these guys play. So, I went in and the coach, again, loved the dedication, me
Right.
jumping high. And I was benched for like 2, 3 months. Shout out Coach Paul.
Yeah.
Paul Hudson, he put me out the squad, and he knew my situation with my, how we didn't have enough money to pay $2,000 for the season or whatever, right? So he helped me out a lot, paid for a lot of the stuff, and I'll never forget him ever in my life, right?
Yeah,
Paul
for
Hudson,
sure.
right? Coach P, I'll never forget him. Him and his
Yeah.
wife, we ran it, and over time in grade 9, I didn't play a lot, but I wasn't as good as either as I
Hmm.
thought I was. But
Yeah.
what happened was grade 9 summer came along, and I started training by myself. I went to the gym. I was out on the beach playing sand, training on the
This is
sand,
it.
resistance. And I was like, yo, this is it. I love it. I
And this
love it.
is
I
what
played beach volley. Yeah,
and
go
this is
ahead.
what I yeah, this is what I want to get to. Like before we even get to the training of volleyball,
Yeah.
how do you and there's a lot of athletes I'm sure that are listening to this. How did you rate the calisthenics workouts that you were doing in your early years? How do you think that played in the development of your body, which was very athletic, I'm sure, near 17,
Mhm.
18, 19?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's amazing
Calisthenics.
because a lot of people nowadays, we forget that we have to train our body. A lot of people don't know how to move with what they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, as a trainer, that's one thing I implement as well. We'll get into that. But for
Yeah.
me, it was doing push-ups at 8 years old on my knuckles. That gave me that body awareness to be like, oh crap, I'm strong. I can move with how much I weigh. And then over
Right.
time, I got heavier. Obviously, over the years, I went from maybe 120 pound to 140 now, and then 150, then 160, and I'm still repping these push-ups and these pull-ups and these muscle ups and these body weight dips and tricep dips, all these different things. But as I got older and I got heavier, I
Yeah.
started to be more aware of my body as well because I was doing it at such a young age. So it helped me when I went into weight training and I went into perfecting these heavy weights that we're putting on our back, bench pressing, whatever the case is, squats, compound lifts. I already knew how to move with what I have, right? For me, it was like, okay, I have 120 pounds on me, 130 pounds. I can move with that. So if
Right.
I add another 200 pounds, or if I add another 100 pounds or 60, 80 pounds, I already know how to move with that because now I'm 120, but I'm lifting 180 realistically, right? So
What
it just
what
helped me over time to build my body to be aware of what I have and move with it and then add extra resistance if I need to.
how did you feel it helped your core? Like your
Oh
core,
man.
yeah, like and how did that core translate into performance and stuff too? Like if you're talking to these young guys.
Yeah, so core training. It's one of the most important, if not the most important body part to train, right? So doing sit-ups, crunches. Yeah, a lot of people will say, don't do that, don't do this. But for us, we used to, Mike, they had us doing planks, right?
Right.
Our instructors, our coaches, our masters in Taekwondo, they had us doing planks and they would step over you. And these guys weigh like 180, 190, and you're holding a plank and they put their foot on top of your lower back and
Oh
they
man.
step over you. And they
Yeah.
sit on you for about 30 seconds. And you hear, if you need to yell, you yell. You're yelling out of just hurting. Your body's hurting. So it developed my core and it helped me do everything because when you're swinging in volleyball, everything you do, your core is the center of your body. It's the center of gravity for every movement that you do, right? If you do not know how to move with it, you're going to get injuries, right? Your lower back's going to start to hurt. You don't know how to snap when you shoot that basketball. You know what I mean? You don't know how to engage your obliques if you're trying to go for a side shuffle. If you're trying to hit the ball overhead your head, overhead with your shoulders. It helped me over time develop. Not yes, I had abs, but that's not what I was, very, very in
You were
tune
looking
with. It
for
was more so
performance. Yeah.
exactly. It helped me with that. So running on the beach, it's resistance. So for me to run on the beach, you need to contract your core as well as move your legs. You know what I mean? So over time, it just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And it was just from doing bodyweight stuff, planks,
That's what I was going to
grabbing
ask you.
rocks in the park.
What kinds
Yeah.
of what kinds of calisthenic exercises would you recommend for young teenagers who are taking pretty much the same path as you, playing multi-sports? What would you say should be important to guys like that? It should be more endurance or more like what kind of calisthenic program or different exercises would you recommend?
For the specific core area, right?
Just yeah,
So I
body weight exercises for a young athlete.
absolutely number one, pull-ups.
Oh
Pull-ups,
wow.
pull-ups, pull-ups, right? If your core, a lot of people when they do pull-ups, they swing it. You know what I mean? They're swinging
Right.
back and forth, right?
Mm.
Because they don't know how to contract their core. So if we're thinking and we're thinking muscle memory, we're thinking mind muscle connection, we're squeezing the crap out of our abs, you can
Yes.
perform that pull-up a lot better than before because now you're not swinging. You know what I mean? Because the
Right.
center of gravity, the center of your body is tight. So
Hmm.
everything else is going to be tight. That makes sense. So pull-ups are definitely number one. Push-ups are
Okay.
number two. I still do push-ups. I can do over 100 push-ups if I wanted to straight, but I still do them. You
Now
know what I
for
mean?
muscles,
Push-ups.
what are they working? Like, what does pull-ups do for some, like what other muscles are they working for pull-ups?
So pull-ups are it's a compound movement, which means it's
Right.
working more than one muscle, right? So when we're doing a pull-up, we're working our back, our lats, our
Okay, right.
latissimus dorsi, right? We're
Yeah.
working our rhomboids, right? We're working our shoulders, our rear delts, which is the
Oh,
back,
wow.
the posterior side of our shoulders, your core. You know what I
Mm,
mean? We're working everything. But now there's a pull-up where you go overhand, and then there are pull-ups where you go underhand, the grip switch. And that's what
okay.
makes a big difference. So you go grip switch, now you're working the lower back, not the lower back itself, but the lower lats. We're
Right.
working on the biceps more. If you do a chin up, you're working more and you're putting more emphasis on the biceps, right? So the main muscles obviously that are worked are your lats and your
Hmm.
biceps when you're doing pull-ups, and your shoulders, the rear delt area, the rhomboids. You know how people that got that cobra look from the back, right?
Yes.
That's all from them pull-ups, right? Because they know how to move what they have, and they're doing it constantly and constantly and constantly, right? So push-ups, same thing. Your chest, your
Mm,
shoulders, your triceps,
yeah.
anything that's a pull, my friend, anything that's a pulling movement works on your back and it
Hmm.
works on your biceps. Anything that's a push movement works on your chest, your triceps, and your shoulders. So that's why it's a complete, package that you get if you do pull-ups and push-ups, because you're literally working your whole upper body. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
man.
And then body weight squats, that explains itself. Your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calves, you're working your whole entire leg. You
Yes.
add resistance to that into the sand. When I used to train, now
Hmm.
you're like, holy crap, I'm trying to run in the sand. It's tough, you know what I mean?
What
But
did the
it
running
was
in the
great.
sand do for your speed and stuff?
Oh man, it added a lot more speed into my game, because when we played volleyball, I loved indoor volleyball, right?
Mm,
But then, that was the winter time. For summer, it was beach volleyball. So what it
mm,
helped with, because of the added resistance, the faster you are on, like, in sand,
hmm.
the faster you're going to be on court, because
Right.
you're not moving with resistance in court, but you're so used to pushing more force and producing more force in the sand. You're like, holy crap! I go back in court, you feel weird. You feel so
Hmm.
weird after playing 3 months of beach volleyball. You go back into the court, you feel so weird. You're like, oh wow, I'm so much more lighter, so much more agile, so much more quicker, faster. So it
Wow.
translates a lot. That's why a lot of ball athletes that I train, you know, sometimes in the summer we'd go to the beach, doing a lot of lateral movements, doing a lot of backpedaling. They go in court. They're not moving with sand. They're just moving on flat ground. But they're moving a lot faster because they built that added force over time with what they already have, which is their legs, right? So, yeah, man, it builds a lot of speed. It builds a lot of agility. Builds a lot of power, because you got to generate power is strength times speed. So you got to generate, speed and strength through your legs when you're running
Yeah.
in the sand. So it helped a lot with the game, man. And it improves your vertical on top of that. You jumping in the sand, it's a lot different than you
So you
jumping
do
on
jumping
ground.
in the sand too? So
Oh yeah, man. We used to do.
what other variations or exercises would you recommend for this like sand environment for young athletes?
Definitely sprints. Sprints
Yeah.
would be number one, right? Loading off from your front foot, back foot, whatever it is. Sprinting, literally picking, a 40-yard dash, or just measuring from one end of the pole to the other end and just sprinting as fast as you can, right? That's going to help. That's definitely one of the best exercises in the sense to do. Jump squats are another one, right? Or you can, if you're an athlete and you're doing like you're playing volleyball, you're jumping up in the air and you're emphasizing that block that you're putting up. If you're a basketball player, you go down, you load on a squat, and you do a jump squat, but you're imitating the grabbing the rebound part of it, or you're dunking,
Yes.
right? So jump squats are another one. Even push-ups, you don't add a lot of resistance in the push-ups, but even those, because your grip's different. So now your body's not, your hands are not straight at that point because there's bumps in the sand. You know what I mean? So now your body's like,
Yes.
okay, cool. I'm working different stabilizers as I'm doing these push-ups, right? Lunges, backpedaling, you know what I mean? Reverse pedals, that's huge. And every
That's a
sport we play,
lot.
we always backpedal. When we play basketball, we backpedal. When we play volleyball, we backpedal. Rugby, football, tennis. It's super, super important because it helps with your first step. Your first step is so important for acceleration, whether you're going sideways, whether you're going, laterally, if you're going, you know,
So
towards
you
the front, if
recommend
you're
this for
going
any
straight.
sport then?
Of course, man. Of
Yeah.
course, beach training or sand training.
Hmm.
Even for boxers, if you're looking at, people
Really?
that box, people that do MMA, you know what I mean. They're always on their toes, right? But you have them shadow box on the sand. They're a lot quicker after, right? That's why a lot of these athletes are a lot quicker. If you watch the pros, and these pros that are heavyweights and champions of the world, they do sand training or resistance training on the sand, boxing on the sand for so long because they have that extra resistance. So when they go on the court, they're a lot lighter on their feet because they're just so used to with
Right.
resistance with your feet, resistance with your feet. They go on the court, they're completely different,
Now,
right?
keeping on,
So yeah, go ahead, man. Go
no, I
ahead.
was going to say, keeping on the same topic with body weight exercises, if someone doesn't have access to a beach, obviously, um, what other alternatives can they do to get the same kind of quickness or comparable quickness, but they're at home, they don't have access to a gym, or they can just go outside? What would you recommend at that point
Yeah,
too?
absolutely, man. If you don't have access to a gym or a sand, you can definitely find a hill, right? You can
Hmm.
definitely find, a park where it has a steep hill. It doesn't have to be as steep as you want it to be, but even if it has that little incline to it, you can do sprints up a hill, right? Again, gravity is our number one source that we can use and be resourceful to do exercises. So if we're doing a push-up at home, we can use the force of gravity to go slower on the way down and pop as fast as we can on the way up.
Now, what
Right?
does going
Slowing
slower
down.
do? Yeah, what does that do? I hear a lot of that, like the pacing of the exercise. What does that do? How
Yeah.
beneficial
So
is it?
that's the eccentric part of it, right? That's the lowering phase of the exercise. So for instance, if you're doing a push-up, a lot of people will just rep up the push-ups, right? But
Hmm.
they're not really connecting with their mind. What I mean is mind muscle connection. If we're trying
Right.
to really work our chest, our shoulders, and our triceps, we need to go a lot slower on the way down because the muscle fibers get activated quicker and you can focus on that specific targeted area. If you go as fast as you can, a stronger point in your muscle will take over. That's why a lot of people will even feel, like on a bench press, they'll feel their shoulders because they'll just
Mm,
bang it out. You know what I mean? 10 reps
right.
right away, push-ups, and they're like, oh, why does my shoulder hurt? Because you're not putting enough emphasis on it. You're just trying to go as fast as you can. You're trying to go quantity rather than quality as you're going down. So lowering phase of it, it brings up, fires up a lot more muscle fibers. You're
Okay.
tearing those muscle fibers down. That's the growing phase of your movement, right? For a
Mhm.
squat, it's going down slowly to a 90
Mhm.
degree or ass to grass, they should say. You
Mhm.
know, that's your building phase. You know what I mean? The power up is easy, but it's
Mhm.
not building phase. Is you're lowering that. You're doing a bicep curl. You're lowering down that weight as slow as you can. That's where you're activating the most amount of muscle fibers, building the most amount of lactic acid, and that's where you feel the most amount of burn. You know what I mean? So even with
Now,
the push-ups.
mhm. Will the eccentric phase, will slowing down the eccentric phase help in overall performance as opposed to just doing the reps out at a normal
Absolutely.
person's pace that you
Absolutely.
usually see? Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Because like I said, it's gonna help you build that specific muscle that you're targeting. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Build the amount of power for it. For instance, if when I train my athletes, say for like vertical jump training, right? A
Mhm.
lot of people will try to, right away go into a squat and jump as high as you can. Yes, we're working on the explosiveness, but if I have you loaded up with 20 pounds on your back, I want you to go as slow as, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the tempo I want them to go at and
Okay.
explode as high as they can or as fast as they can. Right. The eccentric phase is
Uh,
definitely going to help you with overall performance. Right. Now it depends on your sport as well. Right. Or even like, say, a push up again. Right. If I get someone doing 10 push ups with a 4 second lowering phase, 4 second negative, four,
that's
three,
a
two,
long
one, pop.
phase, right? 4 seconds. Geez,
Yeah,
that must
four
burn.
seconds. If I have someone do that for 10 reps, they're going to feel that a lot more than doing 50 reps of push-ups or 30 reps of push-ups because they're focusing a lot more on muscle, mind muscle connection. And let me activate the crap out of this chest rather than, just specifically my shoulder or the strongest point that's going to take over. Your body always takes over. Your strongest point always takes over no matter what. You know what I mean? Like I'll give you myself as an example. If I'm doing say for instance a bicep curl, I
Mhm.
got very very boulder shoulders. My shoulders are very
Right.
very they're a very strong point. I don't
Mhm.
train a lot of arms, but say if I'm doing a bicep curl, if I'm just repping it, it's my shoulder that's working the most. I don't even feel it in my biceps all the time. But if I slowed every single thing down, put my posture up, my shoulders like okay cool. I don't need to play a role because I'm not going as fast as I can. I'm controlling it, so I'm focusing on okay contract your bicep, contract your bicep. You're thinking to yourself, contract your bicep. And all that blood flow goes right into the bicep. You
Now,
know what I
does
mean?
a
So, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
does an ideal weight help with isolating one muscle as opposed to ending up using two or three different muscles for an exercise that you didn't intend to?
So, the thing is with a lot of people, it depends on your sport. If you're a power lifter, your
Hmm.
whole goal is to get that weight off the ground as fast as you can. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Hmm.
But if you're trying to, build muscle size and muscle, strength or whatever it is, your goal is to focus on a weight that is doable but
Hmm.
challenging at the same time. So, for instance, if I'm doing a bench press, a dumbbell bench press, and I'm going down, If I can rep out 15 reps, that weight's too
Hmm.
slow. I mean, it's too light. That weight's too light if I can rep out 15 reps with no pain, no struggle in that set. But if I'm doing, you know, 10 reps or something, but I can rep out 8 reps with good quality reps, but the last two I can still do, but I'm struggling, that's the weight that you got to look for. It's that the last two struggling reps is what's going to help you grow
Right.
rather than anything else. You know what I mean? So there's no ideal weight. It just all depends on your body weight. It depends on how strong you are. What I do might not be good for someone else. It might be too heavy for someone else, right? If I'm bench pressing 135 pounds slowly, that might be heavy for someone else that just got into lifting. So you pick what's comfortable with you, but don't pick something that's so comfortable that you can just do 20 reps without even feeling any burns or aches in that muscle, right? So always pick a weight that's comfortable and challenging, but it's doable. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
always go for that challenge, and yeah, man, that's about it with that,
Would you think what are your thoughts about a spotter, like someone spotting someone to execute the last two? What are your thoughts on that and stuff
Amazing.
like
As long as a spotter knows how to spot you. You know what I mean? A
Mhm.
lot of spotters that I see, and I came from, we'll talk about the background more, but I did powerlifting and Olympic lifting for about a
Okay.
year and a half.
How did that
Remember,
go?
hey man, it was good and bad. Bad because I was young, lifting 600 pounds, 580 pounds on a deadlift, squatting 500 pounds. That over time, my
Like, is
joints
there any
start to hurt.
benefits to that? Is there any benefits to doing powerlifting? Why do people go into powerlifting?
It's man, it's a lot of it's strength training, right? It's not
Okay.
it's not how it's just get as strong as you can as fast as possible. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of powerlifting is get as
Okay.
strong as you can. We didn't really care about looks. It was just get as strong as you can because it's three lifts: a bench press, a squat, and a deadlift. That's what a
Hmm.
powerlifting is, right? It's just to get strong as you can for each and every single one of them. Now, the human body isn't always made to lift 700 pounds,
That's what I
800
was gonna
pounds,
say. Like, what are the injuries
right?
like?
Oh man, I've suffered from injuries a lot, man. You know what I mean? So for me, and this is when a spotter can come into play to answer your question. If I'm
Mm.
going for a PR, a personal record on a compound move,
Yeah.
right? A spotter is definitely, needed because you're trying to do your 1 rep or 2 rep or 3 rep max, and you need someone there to make sure you don't drop that weight on your head. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So a spotter is helpful because they can help you crank out those last seconds of those reps that you're performing. But if a spotter just pulls it right back up, then
He
they didn't
didn't
do
do
their
you any
job,
justice. Yeah.
right? So if I were to spot someone and you're doing 225 on the bench press, I
Hmm.
got to make sure, that you're doing things, where you're repping it 5 times. Cool, that's your goal. On the fourth rep is when I'm going to help you, but slowly. I'm just barely going to touch it, just 2 fingers. Unless you like, I don't want to kill you, obviously, I'll look out for that, but I'm going to make sure that you're working and you're giving every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears that you got to lift that weight up. You know what I mean? That's what the spotter's job is. But a lot of spotters out there, they'll just, crank right back up. Don't do that. Anyone that's
Yeah.
listening, if you're spotting anyone, don't just help them right away and pull the weight up. Let them struggle. Don't let them die or anything. Don't let them get in danger, but let them struggle. The struggle is where you grow. You know what I mean? So, you'll know when someone is struggling and needs the help, but you'll know when someone's struggling and knows that it's about to happen. You're about to get that lift, right? So,
Yeah.
man, there's been times where I'm trying to bench press 315 on the bench, and I'm getting it, but then someone just pulls right back out. I'm like, bro, I had
Oh.
it. I had it. You know what I mean? So a spotter is crucial if you're doing, heavy lifts, and just to have you, make sure that you're not getting injured and you're not dropping the weight on your face or cracking your knees up or any of that, man.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about your volleyball because you know me, I'm very impressed with your volleyball ability. For the viewers that don't know, Azam is a good buddy of mine, and he is I mean, I like to say he's a world-class volleyball player. But I want to talk about your jumping ability.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure there's a basketball player or volleyball player out there listening to this, and I gotta let all the listeners know, Azam literally has, I mean, not measured, but I would put around at least 35 or greater vertical leap, close or
It
even
was
40.
it was 44 actually,
Yeah,
Mike.
44. Well, I
Yeah,
knew it
back in
was
the
high.
day.
I knew it was high. So we're talking about a 44-inch vertical. So,
And I'm 6 feet,
and you're
6 feet
6 feet,
tall.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm sure that was helpful for volleyball. What would you say attributed that to that? And also, what can people do to create that kind of vertical leap that you had?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So playing volleyball, volleyball is a sport where everyone's tall, like super, super tall, right?
Hmm.
So for me, I realized in grade 11, grade 12, when I really, really got, I went to We finished top 3 in the province, top 5 in nationals in the whole entire nation of Canada. We've done all these, trips to America, playing volleyball competitively. I realized I am not the tallest, right? So obviously for me, and I realized that in grade 9, but I really took it in grade 11. So grade 9, I focused on strength training, right? Making sure that I'm, with jumping higher comes strength, explosiveness, and power, right? So I did all my research, man. I sat down on my laptop. This is grade 10, grade 11 me. I'm like, yo, how do you improve your vertical jump? How do you make sure you do things,
What'd you
jump
come up
higher?
with?
How do you
That's a
dunk?
lot of research. What'd you do?
Oh man, I was just coming up on my Google, watching videos, and it was just all plyometrics. You know what I mean? Like box jumps and depth jumps, and jumping on something or jump as high as you can. So I was literally downstairs. We had a rock. I used to live in a building back then, and we had a bunch of rocks. You know what I mean? In the ghetto, we had a bunch of rocks, and behind the building, and I would just jump 10 times on those rocks. Right now, it might not be the right way of training at the time because I didn't know much better. But for me, it still helped me improve my vertical. But as I did more research, I'm like, okay, listen, I need to dunk more. I need to jump higher. And that's what separated me. I was jumping as high as these guys that were 6'10". I've shown you pictures where
Oh yeah.
I'm going up and I'm blocking and my whole entire, chest is above the net, right? So for me, what I did was strength training, compound moves such as a deadlift, a trap bar deadlift. For those of you that are listening, squats, power cleans, Olympic lifts are highly crucial to improve your vertical. But however, first you need to build strength. You know what I mean? You got to build your strength, which is doing these movements that I just mentioned. And then you got to build your explosiveness. And then you got to mix the two together. And then you got to work on your power. And you got to make sure on how fast and how quick you can get off the ground. You know what I mean? So for me, I was doing squats. When I was grade 12, I was squatting 3 plates. That's 315 pounds, for 5-6 reps, building strength in my legs. And then I would go, and then I would do the jumps the next day or whatever, right? So it's highly important that you make sure you have strength training. Strength is going to be your foundation no matter what. When it comes to trying to improve your vertical, you have to be strong. Think about it this way. If I have a rubber band, like an elastic band, and I'm pulling on it and super, super thin, that elastic band is going to, it's going to rip over time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, however, if I'm building this elastic band, I'm getting this elastic band thicker and thicker and thicker, right? And I'm trying to pull on it. But if I pull on it once and I let go, the amount of power that elastic band has and the amount that it can travel is a lot faster and a lot powerful, and it will never rip compared to a very tiny elastic band that I got from Dollarama. You know what I mean? So for me, I got, that's how your body works as well. You got to make sure you're getting these muscles stronger. They have the strength in them. Now, as you pull on them, which is when you're about to jump, you just got a big elastic band in those legs that when you explode, the springs are unbelievable and you're flying through. So that's exactly what I did over time. Squats, a lot of box jump. I jumped over a guy that was 6'1". You know what I mean? I've jumped, over guys that were like leaping over guys in the gym, doing windmills and dunking. And, and then over time, yes, I got injuries, but, that's besides the point. It was just, for me, it was the motivation when I was short, but for me, that didn't stop me. I was still bouncing balls in front of, the key of when I played volleyball. I showed you videos, man, where I would go up and hit balls where it was like,
Tell me more about calisthenics. I mean, sorry, not calisthenics, plyometrics, because it's a term that's thrown around. Obviously, people in the industry know exactly what it is. But for listeners out there who are, there's so many different types of listeners. What is plyometrics? How can it be applied to different parts of different muscles that you have, and essentially what is it, and how can people take advantage of it, and when should they take advantage of it?
Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Yeah, no, absolutely, bro. Plyometrics are, think about it this way. It's the foundation for you to get your legs quicker and more explosive, right? So doing movements that require you to jump and react quicker and get off the ground as fast as you can, right? So that's
that's for your legs. Just for your legs.
That's for your legs.
Yeah,
for your legs. But you can also do them, like for instance, like say a clapping push-up. That could be a plyometric for your upper body, because now you're exploding from your upper body and you're clapping in the air. That's a plyometric for your upper body, but it's solely for athletes that want to improve their vertical, the lateral hops, running long jump players, athletes that are in basketball, volleyball. If you're an athlete that requires a lot of jumping, if you're an athlete that requires a lot of sprinting, right? Plyometrics are going to help you get the amount of explosiveness that you need and the amount of strength and speed you need to get off the ground. That makes sense.
Right.
So For instance, a basketball players all do plyometrics, volleyball players all do plyometrics, football players all do plyometrics, right? Because you got to make sure you can get off the ground as fast as you can to grab those boards, the rebounds, right? And jump as high as you can to dunk. Same with volleyball. If a set is thrown at you, you got to jump as high as you can to hit that ball, right? So you cannot do that through strength training. You got to also mimic that, which is by jumping and doing plyometrics on top of platforms and boxes, and slowly increasing, the height of it, and doing a lot of lateral bounding, right? Plyometrics is a great way of training, but it's also not for every single person. I'm not gonna have someone that's 70 years old do plyometrics. You know what I mean?
So you would say it's just for athletes then, right?
Athletes and people that just want to obviously build overall lower body power, strength, and explosiveness, of course. But if you, for you, like I said, I give a 70-year-old as an example. I'm not always going to have a 70-year-old do a plyometrics because it can be, taxing on her body where she can't jump on a box, right? But specifically for athletes, it's one of the best ways of training to improve your vertical, to improve your explosiveness, to improve your power, to generate more power through your lower body and your upper body, to improve your change of direction, right? That's what plyometrics are great for. But it's also great for someone that's just, like myself. I'm not, I don't train or play volleyball anymore, but I'm still doing plyometrics because I know when I play ball with the boys in the summertime, I still want to be able to jump and dunk. I still want to be able to move fast laterally. So plyometrics are great, man. It's great for any sport such as basketball, even tennis sometimes. You know what I mean? Making sure you can, any sport that requires a lot of jumping, a lot of lateral movements are going to benefit from plyometrics. An explosion. Any athlete is going to, literally, any single athlete is going to, benefit from plyometrics, and specifically basketball players, football players, volleyball players, athletes that require a lot of jumping. So that's what got my vertical up, man. Plyometrics is that's what it was. It was, I've fell through boxes. I've literally tried to jump in grade 11, grade 12, first year university, try to jump high, and I fell on my butt, like my language, where I'm just like, I couldn't complete the jump. So I would fall right on the ground. My tailbone would I would shatter my tailbone. I would just be hurt in pain, but then I would get up, lower it by a little bit, and try to get that one, right? So plyometrics are what helped me, but you also cannot depend on them, because a lot of people will try to just do plyometrics, and then forget that they also got to keep that elastic band stronger, like I said. So they got to also implement strength training into that. Right. But if you squat 500 pounds to me and you come up to me and you have no plyometrics in your training routine, no explosive training routine, you have nothing other than just strength training, you're not going to jump higher. Just because you squat 500 pounds doesn't mean you're going to jump and dunk. If you squat 500 pounds but you can jump 24 inches on a box, then we got a true athlete right there, right? So that's why you see a lot of these football players are super explosive, right? Doing vertical jump testing and doing things that are going to make sure that those fast twitch muscle fibers are kicking in, right? So I can go on and on, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Point, right?
So no, you made a great point. So Azam,
yes, sir.
You left athletics. You started to think about personal training, and as a 22-year-old man, you went and opened up a gym. Let us know how that whole process went.
Oh man, absolutely, man. So it was a dream, Mike. When I was a kid, it was. I also wrote this down in 2017, I believe, December 13, 2017. I forgot the specific date. It's on my phone. I wrote in the note where this is after I stopped playing sports, that I was going to open up a gym. But how it started was when I was a kid, I would tell my dad all the time, Dad, I want to create a facility where I can bring in these professional athletes, football players, soccer players.
You had this vision as a kid.
Train that. As a kid, I was like, 10, 11? Because I was just so into sports, right? So I was just so into being athletic. I just wanted to have my own facility, and I want to create a gym where athletes turn into monsters. That's what I wanted to create. And then over time, when I got into volleyball, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be a professional volleyball player. That's what I was thinking, right? So I got invited to go to the University of Toronto. I went to U of T. The U of T coach called me and said, hey, man, come on over. You want to, we want you on the team. We want you to try out. We want you to meet the boys. He made it seem like, I'm going to be on the team, right? So, and mind you, like I said, I grew up very, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. So I didn't have a lot of, my parents never came to tournaments like that. My parents never came and watched me play every single day, like, other parents would. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I just never had that. Everything was independent, right? So playing volleyball, paying $2,000, my dad paid for it for 2 years. After that, he said, you're on your own. I had to go to Pizza. I was cooking pizza for 14 hours, making money. Wow. And whatever money I made, I had to pay for volleyball, right? So I was
Hmm.
paying my club fees, my flight fees, my food fees, everything was just out of pocket. My dad
Wow.
would give me 200, $300 here and there, but everything else was out of pocket. So coach says, come on over, UFT. I go there, third tryout. I'm hyped as hell. I'm like, this is
Hmm.
gonna be it. I'm gonna play for UFT. It's crazy, right?
Right.
And I had scholarships and to Humber, to other colleges and universities that spoken to me, but UFT is close to home. I didn't want to be far from home. I'm from Scarborough, grew up in Scarborough.
Hmm.
UFT is 40 minutes away. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to UFT. Third trial comes, man, and coach goes, listen, brother, I absolutely love the way you play. He's hyping me up. You're an amazing player,
Hmm.
but unfortunately, I cannot put you on the team.
Okay.
I'm like, damn, I need you to repeat that because I don't think I understood what you said. Because I thought I was on the team the way it was hyped up, and not trying to be cocky, but I was playing a lot better than other individuals that were there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to me, it hit me, and I'm like, damn, did he just say I'm not on the team?
Oh
He's like,
man.
listen, man. He gave me a hug. Him and the assistant coach gave me a hug. He's like, listen, man, I want you to come in here next year, starting lineup. You're gonna come on in. You got to try out again. I want you on the team next year, and we're gonna do whatever we can to get you on the team. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. I left the gym heartbroken. That
Now,
day was the day my volleyball and athletic career stopped.
let me ask you a question.
Right?
What were you doing to prepare yourself for your body? Because keep in mind, you're a little bit shorter, obviously, than the competition,
Yeah.
no? What
Yes.
were
Yes.
you
Yes.
doing at that time? What was your preparation at that time?
Man, just
Like,
training
what was
again.
your, yeah, what
Like
was
we
your
had
training?
the tryouts were in like August.
Hmm.
From the moment my season stopped, right? A lot of people they just off season, they just go back, have a good time, party, chill.
Hmm.
For me, the moment my season stopped, which is May, I was back in the gym, squatting, trying to jump higher. My power got even stronger. My arm swing got stronger. I was
Hmm.
building a bit more size. So I was training literally every single day, going for 5 kilometer, 6 kilometer runs in the morning so I can build more endurance, build more stamina so I can last throughout more games when I'm playing, right? So I was training for it. Nothing changed. Nothing changed except the intensity of my training.
How many days a
However,
week were you doing legs and stuff?
I was doing legs twice a week. It would be, a strength day, and then
Hmm.
it would be an explosive plyometric day the next day. So I
Okay.
would, and then sometimes I would mix the two together and do complex training, right? Mixing, something that's explosive and something that's strength training. I would do that. I would switch it up. And then I would
Hmm.
do an upper body day, but it was a lot of athletic work, right? Functional
Right.
movements, right?
Hmm.
Movements that are going to help me be better at my game. My goal wasn't to get jacked. My goal was to be stronger, faster, and jump higher so I
Yep.
could keep that going. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And yeah, that was the training. The training never changed. So I went into tryouts, man. And when I tell you, man, and I don't mean to rant or anything, but when I tell you the amount of power I had, the amount of I was jumping higher than half the guys that were in that gym, and
Wow.
doing whatever I can. But for me, you know, with sports comes a lot of political stuff. I don't want to talk about it, but there's a lot of things like that are included in sports when you go to
Yeah.
higher leagues like varsity and university and colleges, right? So for me, I don't even think it was a lot more my skill. I think of the opposite. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I said, I was heartbroken when the coach said, "Listen, I can't
So
take you on the team." Go ahead,
volleyball
man.
is done. What
Yeah.
did we do after that?
So volleyball finished. I said, "Damn!" I left the gym. I had a couple tears come out of my eye because I
Mm.
was I was literally like just sad. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And my ego got shut. And I'll be very honest about that. My pride and my ego. Coming from I went to Birchmount Park Collegiate, a very athletic school, winning MVP all 4 years, athlete of the year all 4 years, to now not even making UFT. I was like, bro, I could have went to Humber. I could have went to
Oh
these other
man.
spots that these coaches said, come, I'm gonna give you a ride. Come, I want you to train. Told my parents, and that was the worst part. Telling my dad, yo, I didn't make the team, dad. You know what I mean?
Oh
Dad's
wow,
like, you spent all this money. And you know how like immigrant parents are. He's like, you spent all this money, 6, 7 racks, 6,000, 7,000, and you couldn't even make the volleyball team, right? So for me, I took it the wrong way, and I said, you know what? Maybe it's because of my skill. Maybe I wasn't as big. Maybe I wasn't jumping as higher.
Hmm.
Nothing changed except the fact that next day I went right back to the gym and I started
Okay.
training again.
You
Yes, I
continued
was
your
hurt,
training. Hmm.
but I was a lot more angry, if that makes sense. I had a lot of
Motivated.
like motivated, and my anger drove my motivation, brought me more motivation. I'd be like, okay, no problem. Second year, I'm gonna get into volleyball again. That's what I said to myself.
Hmm.
That's what I said. But that wasn't the case because I was getting bigger. So I went from first year uni, I was 170.
Right.
When August came, which was going into second year uni, I was 210. So I went
Where
and
was
I
the extra
built,
weight coming from?
just build muscle over
Okay.
time. I was eating 8 times a day. I was lifting a lot heavier,
8 times
focusing
a
a lot
day.
more. Yep, eating 8 times a day, man.
What were
To
you
the
eating?
point where it's chicken, rice, broccoli, sweet potatoes, steak, salmon, tilapia,
Were
cod.
these 8 small meals? Were they
Yes,
prepared?
8. Sometimes, yeah, I would. So I would wake up early in the morning and prepare 4 meals because I was still a student. Prepare 4 meals in the morning at 6 a.m.
What
You know
kind
what
of
I mean? I
meals
would
were you
wake up.
what kind of meals were you creating?
So breakfast was always the same. I would have 4 eggs for breakfast,
Okay.
right? And I would have a cup of oatmeal every single day for breakfast. If I didn't eat eggs, it would be a cup of egg whites, and I would just scramble them together, add some spinach in there, and it was always the same breakfast 7 days a week. It never changed. It got to a point
Right.
where I just hated oatmeal and I hated eggs, but I just had to eat it to just fuel my body. So nothing changed in terms of that. But the meals were they were each like 500 calories, maybe 600 calories, right? Chicken portioned out very well. Chicken breast. I would do no salt, no seasoning. Literally, it would just be chicken breast, broccoli, and a cup of rice. But for
Now,
me, it wasn't more so.
when you were preparing those meals, were you concerned about the nutrients you were getting from those meals, or were you just putting together those meals? What was your mindset
So
when you
my
were
mindset was, okay, cool. I want to be the best fitness man, the best athlete. So in order for me to be the best, I was watching these, big dogs, the LeBrons. You look at, the champions, the boxing
Mhm.
champions, Anthony Joshua. You look at all these, Vladimir Klitschko's. You look at these Cristiano Ronaldo. They don't eat junk food. That's what I looked at. I'm like, they don't eat burgers and tacos and fries. They're eating good meals, chicken broccoli
Mhm.
rice. So I ate it to fuel my body. I didn't eat
Right.
it for
Okay.
pleasure. So
Okay.
my buddies would hit me up, yo, bro, let's go get it's Friday night. Let's go to a steakhouse. Let's go to
And you're a young
Copacabana.
teenager too, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
young
Yeah.
teenager. They're like, yo, let's go to Copacabana. Let's do, let's have a good time. Like, no, man, I'm gonna stay home. I got my meal here, which would be salmon, rice. My mom would be like, what are you eating? I said, Mom, listen, you wouldn't understand because you're cultural with it. But this is to fuel my body. It's to get my proteins in, my carbohydrates. It's to fuel it. If I want to get bigger, look chisel, have an 8 pack, I got to eat this way. So
Now
that's what I did.
let me stop you right there because we're touching on a serious issue. There's a lot of people that understand if they want to take nutrition seriously, they're going to have to prepare their meals and plan their meals accordingly to the nutrition that's coming from their foods. A lot of people who try this in a household with mom and dad who are cooking, and I know a lot of bodybuilders, they run into this conflict where it's like, I'm making meals, but the family feels like I'm disrespecting them. And
Mhm.
I know you're smiling because you hear this. How do people deal with it? What's your thoughts on this? And how
It's
can
honestly,
people
it took me. How can people like avoid it? I'm
yeah,
guessing, or
and
like,
deal with
yeah,
that?
yeah,
You're living with mom and
yeah.
dad and
Obviously, for me, it wasn't like I didn't eat their food. I still did eat their food once or twice a week, of course.
mhm.
Who doesn't love mom's and dad's food cooking? A home cooking meal, right? Who
Yeah.
doesn't love it? But for me, I also had to tell them, listen, man, like, of course, I want the rice and whatnot, but I'm gonna cook my own food. Or another substitute was, Mom, I'm gonna buy groceries for you if you can cook me this meal. So
Hmm.
mom's like, oh, damn, okay, cool, no problem. So I would bring groceries in, $200, $300 worth of groceries. Mom, salmon, rice, chicken. I just want you to cook it for me. I don't want to eat the rice that you cook or the curry goat that you made, but I want to eat this. I bought you the curry goat. Can you like make me this food? Right. So it was, telling them, but they understood because they knew
So you
I
got the
spoke to them,
support. That's good. You got the support.
I spoke to them. It's about speaking. A lot of people will start to argue right away. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I've had clients that do the same thing and like just cuss at mom out or
Oh man.
cuss pops out and do whatever they can. Oh no, I got a diet and just talk to them. It's
Hmm.
it's all about communication. For me, it was like, dad, mom, listen, I want to be the best athlete, the best version of myself. I'm gonna be doing this. Right. My
Yeah.
dad said, okay, boy, listen, you know what you're doing, but you're gonna have to help out with those groceries. I said, say
That's it.
less. Sounds good. I'm gonna help you out with the groceries, right? It just all takes some sacrifices to make, man.
Hmm.
And then your parents will get used to it over time. But if you're gonna be, and then I would tell them, listen, on the weekends, hell yeah, make some curry goat or some chicken curry, whatever the case is, make
Exactly.
some barbecue. I would eat it. Absolutely, I would eat it, right? So over
So
time, that's what I did. And
that's what you did.
I balance, it's all about balance, man. It's all about balance and doing things in moderation. You know
So
what I mean?
tell me about how you started with the training and why did you get started with the training? and what that
So
experience was like.
yeah, so for me, man, so after volleyball, I gained all that weight, right? I said, you know what, let me get bigger. But
Right.
then over time, 3 months in, I'm bench pressing, squatting, lunging, doing these things that are making my muscles look fuller. I'm like,
Okay.
I love it. I'm like, I love this. Slowly, 6 months kicks in, 7 months kicks in. I don't even have the thought of volleyball in my head anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I have the thought of I just want to go to the gym and crush this leg workout. I just want to go to this gym and do this. I love fitness. I love doing this. I was watching other fitness, influencers like Simeon Panda, Mike Rashid, all these, big dogs that are in the States getting jacked and chiseled and,
So talk
being a
about how,
trainer. So
yeah, talk about how your body now changed from having an athletic body that's used to being trained from plyometrics, endurance training, to a guy
mhm,
now who's really concentrating on the aesthetics of fitness, each individual muscle. Just talk a little bit about that transition, because so many athletes make that transition into a power lifter or bodybuilding, and the whole
yes.
training changes. So yeah, give us your
Yeah, it
thoughts on
went
that.
from and I'm gonna be very honest, it went from being very flexible
Mm.
to be very stiff. That's what I went from.
Oh
I went
man.
from being very flexible to now building more muscle mass, and I got stiffer. I'm like, oh,
And why
what
is
is
that?
this? I'm like,
And why is
because
that?
I
What
built more
happened?
muscle mass. So I wasn't athletically training. So there was no more functional training for a bit. Because now I started to see my chest pop a little. I said, oh damn, like
Okay.
this didn't come from a single arm bench press. This came
No.
from doing an actual bench press. So I was a strong guy from doing all the body weight and the calisthenics and the athletic training. I already had the strength. So when I put 2 plates on that bench
It
and
was
I was
easy.
repping it, I'm like, this is good. And I'm
Mm.
seeing my chest blow up. I'm like, I love it. So it went from not, doing all the jumping and all the running and the sprints. It went from, okay, strictly, isolation work, right?
Hmm.
Single, focused muscles. Like it would be a split of leg day, not leg day and sprints. It would be a leg day with just, that's it. You know what I mean? It was just a leg day with just heavy
And what are
barbell
the
squats,
benefits to
lunges.
that? What are the benefits? Break that down. What's the benefits for that for what someone's trying to do from an aesthetic level, how your body looks?
Oh man, you look phenomenal, right? A lot of people, you have that beach body at the end, right? And a lot of athletes, some of them do, some of them don't, right? Some athletes are very skinny, some athletes are very jacked, right? Depending on their sport. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm like, okay, cool. If I can gain some size, my abs got thicker now, they're more chiseled from doing all this, I'm gonna keep it going, right? So
Hmm.
what it does for you, it aesthetically makes you look good. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You
Mm.
feel good. Your chest is popping. For us men, we care about the chest and the arms and the shoulder. But for me, I really didn't care about how I looked specifically. I
Hmm.
just loved the feeling of being sore as hell the next day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I loved killing my legs to the point where I couldn't walk. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I would squat 400 pounds and then go lunge 100 times and get to a point where I would mentally trigger myself to give up, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't give up because I would have to push past that, right? Compared to athletic training. So this, man, it builds more strength in you, builds more confidence because you look nicer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a lot of people that are out there, a lot of clients of mine that get bigger and lose weight,
And
they
muscle
build they
size is
build a lot
easier.
more. Yes, they build a lot more confidence through that. And aesthetically you look good.
Hmm.
But however, it cannot be done if your nutrition is crappy. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If your nutrition is crap, it cannot be done. And vice versa. A lot of clients ask me the same thing. What's more important, nutrition or fitness? They're just as important as they get. They are both as important. If you're eating super, super well and super, super clean, yeah, you might lose some water weight, but you're still not going to get the physique you want to get
Hmm.
because you still got to train and you got to make sure you're butchering those muscles. You got to make sure you put your body through some resistance and strength training.
Hmm.
Vice versa, if you're training so hard but you're not eating well, your body's just going to say, buddy, you're
They have to
damaging
be
me.
hand in hand. They
But
definitely
yeah, but
have to
where's
be
the
hand in hand.
fuel? So yes, nutrition is a point, but so is strength training, right? You
Yeah.
can't go. That's why when people ask me, is it 70% nutrition, 30% training? I don't look at it that way. I look at it as 100% nutrition and
And 100%
100%
training.
training. There is no, oh, is it 70% this? No, no, no. I don't look at it that way. A lot of trainers will, a lot of people will, but to me personally, it's the best of both worlds that you got to get at, man. So that's
So
what it was over time.
yeah, man. So yeah, get it. I keep interrupting you, but get to the part in your life journey. You're getting into, you're becoming a trainer. And when did
Yes.
you decide, you know what, I got a shot, I can go and get my own gym?
Man, so
Hmm.
my first client, man, was at the age of 17.
Hmm.
Sorry, 18, at the age of 18. She came up to me and she said, listen, man, like you're training so well. Like you're grunting. Like, what is all this training to do? You know, I want to gain some muscle. She was very skinny, very, very slim, a lot older than me. She was like 32 at the time, and I was
Mm-hmm.
18. So I'm like, okay, you know, this lady approaching me, she wants some help.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no idea how to train her. I knew how to train her depending on how I trained myself.
Mm.
You see what I mean? So I said, no problem, I can train you, you know. And then it was at LA Fitness. I was doing, I'll be very honest, I was doing under the table type of thing, you know, where it was like $20. I would get $20 under the table, and I'm like, yo, she'd be like, listen, I'll give you $20. Just act like I'm training you. You know what I mean? Don't make it look big. And I would train her at the gym. This is like, man, I was like, what, 18? You know what I mean? And I was doing that, and then she would pay me after the session. I'd be like, oh, cool, don't even pay me. And then she stopped paying me. And I'm
So
like, listen,
you
I
were
just
just
like
you were
doing
just
it.
a member. You were
I
just a
was just a
member.
member at the
Yeah,
time.
look at that.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just an
yeah.
18-year-old member. Wow, that's amazing.
Just an 18-year-old member, and you know, over time it just turned into, she's like, yo, listen, I wanna make sure I look good. How can I get that? I said, yo, no problem. And then I got her there over time, man. And sorry, I had to change things. I had to charge my
No
phone here.
problem.
And then anyway, she's like, okay, cool. I'm like, listen, don't even pay me. I don't need your money. I like doing this. Make sure you're here at 8 o'clock tomorrow.
So that was your first
You know what I mean?
taste. That was your
First
first
taste of
taste.
training a client. I was
Mm-hmm.
nervous as hell. Nervous as hell. I'm like, but I love it. Two
Mm-hmm.
sessions in, I'm like, this is it. Now, come second year university, I'm supposed to be quote unquote going back to volleyball.
Right.
You know, coach is like, where's this guy? I said, I quit. That's it.
Oh
I'm
man.
done. I'm done with sports. I'm done with volleyball. I found my passion is to help and push others physically and mentally to the maximum potential.
Mm.
So it went from, you know, being someone that just loved volleyball and sports to just training specifically every single day.
Right.
And then having a client and being like, okay, cool. You can make money off of training someone. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really know it was like that. Right. So, and then I got into, you know, at U of T, I was a student at U of T, yes. And then second year uni, I was just fed up with university, man. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'll be very honest. My grades weren't the best because I had a lot of stress through external things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I was on probation after, you know, my grades weren't the best. And then I was put on some pressure, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take the whole year off after second year university. I finished 2 years at U of T. I took the whole year off, and that's when I worked a corporate job, which was at LA Fitness. You know what I mean? And then I got into that corporate job, and I'm like, damn, I love training people. And I started posting on my Instagram, and people are like, yo, bro, can you create me this is before, you know, working at the job, is, hey, man, can you create me a program where I can jump higher? I'm like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
Taylor, sounds just about my alley. No problem. Here it is. How much is it? Zero. Like, I'm not going to charge you. It's
Wow.
free. You know what I mean? Like, take it, bro. Just shout me out on your Instagram so I could get more people to come in. But then they would pay me as just a courtesy, but like, bro, you created a program for me. I'm going to give you $20 for it. Okay, cool. The money wasn't the motive at all, Mike. It was just
Yeah.
more so, if I can help this person get better at their sport, you know, now that one client who was a volleyball player gave me 6 other clients that were volleyball
Jeez.
players, and I
So
was making programs for them.
when did you realize, man, I got to go solo? It's time for me to take the next step and be an entrepreneur in this industry.
It
And how'd that go?
happened at, you know, so you know, all these years, you know, taking that year off, I worked at Nike as a, you know, long time ago. I worked at different retail stores, supplement stores, and I just was in the game of fitness, right? So um, after working corporate for about 10 months,
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know what? There's nothing wrong with going corporate. There's nothing wrong with this at all. I learned a lot, and I learned how the big cats and the big dogs and the big people in the industry do their job. I learned how they do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. But I don't like working for nobody. I said, I got to take my game
Fair
to the next
enough.
level. I got to make sure I do what's best for me. Because if I'm working 70 hours a week and only getting paid 30% of what I'm making,
Right.
or whatever the case was,
Mm-hmm.
I could put the same effort in. It's going to be harder in the beginning, but as an entrepreneur. And then I met my partner, you know, my shout out Victor. That's my
Mm-hmm.
partner that I met. I've known him for 6 years, but then we got super close and we had a super, you know, close relationship. He was an entrepreneur at the time. He's a lot older
Mm-hmm.
than me, about 11 years older than me. And he's like, listen, man, you got so much like charisma, so much dedication, discipline.
Yeah.
Why don't you take the entrepreneur? I was already an entrepreneur a little bit, making programs for clients and stuff online. But I said, you know what, you're right. Why don't I, you know, go on my own and find my own clients and not pay?
Yeah. How has the support been since you got started? Hello, Zam? Azam. I think we lost Azam for a quick second. Just give me a quick moment. Let's see if we can get Azam back on.
Hello?
Hey, Azam.
We
Okay.
good? We good?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
lost you
Yeah.
for a
Sorry,
couple of
man.
seconds. So quick question. I was
Yeah.
just wondering, how is the support now? How is it when you got into the gym and obviously how are you doing?
Good.
Obviously through
Absolutely amazing,
pandemic,
man.
it's
So
not the greatest, but
yes. So I'm going to get to that now. So I became an entrepreneur in 2019 August, a
hmm
full-time entrepreneur.
hmm
I had my own clients. I took no one from any other one from anywhere, from corporate, none of that. I created my whole entire own clientele, built 10, 15
that's
clients,
fabulous.
worked them, and I was full-time. I went back to school full-time at UFD. And
hmm
then I said, I did that, and I did that until March, and then the pandemic hit, which was March
hmm
16th, I believe, is when we went on lockdown here.
Yeah.
And for me, it was more so the pandemic was a blessing because you started to see who your real ones are. You started to see what your true passion is, and you started to see your hustle, right? So you
hmm
had to be resourceful. That's one thing I had, resourcefulness, right? It was making sure I can make the best out of a situation where it's out of my control.
Yeah,
So with
because
the pandemic,
Ontario,
cool.
Ontario wouldn't let you open your gym.
Exactly. So
hmm
my gym wasn't even there and
hmm
up until August. You know what I mean? So I got the gym after the pandemic. I opened up
hmm
my own facility after the pandemic. I not after, like once the whole lockdown situation was done
hmm
in Ontario. So I was training clients all around the world. I had athletes in Germany. I had athletes playing D1 in the States. I was making programs for them. I
Wow.
was training people through Zoom right now during
Zoom,
the
yeah.
pandemic. I said,
hmm
you know what? I got to make sure I still do my job. I can't go to the gym
Exactly.
because it's closed, but I got to make sure if I can sit here and talk to someone and pinpoint muscle groups and tell them to do 10 squats, and so be it.
Yeah,
Right. So I did that. I was still training every single day at home.
that's
I
great.
was still doing things I could. And then opportunity presented itself. Right. So my
hmm
partner and I said, you know what? I said, brother, listen, I don't want to go back to no other gym. I want to have my own spot. You know what I mean? We got to
Exactly.
make sure we do something. And it was August 3rd. I found the spot, which is
hmm
near where I live. And I said, you know what? It's time to make the move. Because why? Because it's no other better time. Right now is the best time to do this because we are going to come out of a pandemic, and we're going to do whatever we can because people want to be healthier.
Yes.
The whole world got messed up. The whole world changed. It went upside down. We want to help people build immunity. We want to help people be healthier. So as they age and as they get older, they don't have any chronic issues. They don't have back
hmm
pains or liver damage or blood pressure or diabetes or any
hmm
of that. We want to help people do that. So I said, you know what? Now is the time to open up this facility. And I got the call from the agent. The agent said, listen, man, the spot's yours. And then from there, on August 5th, the rest is history. August 5th,
That's
started to
great.
renovate it, and we slowly just built it, man. And, we built everything from the ground up. I hired no contractors, nothing, because I just wanted to build my own facility by myself with my people and learn it through trial and error. So the flooring,
That's great,
the
Azam.
mirrors, everything was just over time building it myself. And now it's just to go bigger now. You know what I mean? Making sure everyone knows where it is, right? Making sure it's my facility is called Elite Culture. For those of you wondering, it's called Elite Culture. The name explains itself. It's a
Right.
culture of elites from all parts of the world, all parts of the country, or all parts of any sports you play. It's a culture of elites where you come in, you're not judged, no one cares. It's just
Right.
you go in there and you're putting in the work. That's all that matters. You
That's
come
crazy.
from if you're an athlete, cool. If you're 60 and you're trying to get, fit, cool. If you
Yeah.
play pro, cool. Doesn't matter what you do. It's a culture of elites. And whenever you come in, we will do whatever we can. I will do whatever I can to make sure you are an elite member and you turn elite in all aspects of life. So, through fitness, obviously,
hmm
right? Through fitness, everything can be accomplished, right? You feel better, you feel confident, your mental health improves, right? Your
Yeah.
health issues improve. So for me, elite culture now as a business owner and, having other trainers working in the gym, obviously it's a pandemic still and we got to, we're not open, right?
Yeah.
We still got to make
Where
sure
can people
everything's
reach
safe,
you,
but
Azam? The listeners, where can they
so
reach out and reach
yes,
out to you?
sir. They can reach out to me on Instagram. My @ is mtfitness.ec.
hmm
That's mtfitness.ec. They can reach out to me on Instagram. They can reach out to me on Facebook, Azam Hamidi.
Okay.
And I recently actually just, I got nominated and I got published. I don't know if you knew this, Mike. I got published on Yahoo Sports, Yahoo Finance, and Yahoo News
That's
as a
fantastic.
top 10. top 10 fitness influencer in Canada that people should follow. So that was another
Okay.
thing I got published on, and everything's been a blessing. You know,
Well, I can tell
anyone
you
that
right
wants to
now,
reach out,
with all the
yeah,
information you provided us today, I'm sure you're going to get a lot more followers. And I'm sure if we have any listeners right now from UK, I'm sure they would love to experience the online experience with you as well. So
of
I
course.
want to congratulate you on your venture. And what's your
Thank
what's
you,
your
man.
what's your vision right now for your business? What's the grand vision?
Absolutely, man. So as soon as we were able to open up, fully, and once the pandemic is done, because obviously it slows things down, is to go bigger. Have a space where, it's a gym where every single athlete, every single human being can come into, where it's a 6,000, 7,000 square feet facility
Mhm.
where I'm known around not just the city, man, around the
Yeah.
country and internationally, and then just franchise that and get it even bigger because I want other people to win, right? So I don't want just me winning. I want everyone else that's around me to win, right? So if I can open up a gym in Vaughan, if I can open up a gym in different parts of Ontario, go overboard, go international, then so be
Oh
it, right?
man.
And the other vision is to share my success and to share my stories and my inspiration, how I got to where I got to with every single individual. So if I can be on talk shows, if I can help motivate individuals, even if it's one person to be the best versions of themselves, then so be it. So that's the vision, to go bigger, to franchise more people,
Hmm.
places, have more gyms in different places where people can go and become elite and just go from there, man, and help individuals become the best versions of themselves, whether
Well,
you're an
Azam,
athlete, anything, bro. So yeah,
that's
man, just
huge.
reach out to me on Instagram. Anyone that's interested, anyone that wants to have a conversation, anything, man, just put me
Well,
on Instagram
again,
and we're good to go.
Azam, good luck with everything, and thank you for all the amazing information you provided everybody. And
Thank you
on
so
behalf
much,
of
Mike.
iLive Radio, thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you guys again next week. Take care, guys.
Thank you so
Take care,
much,
Azam.
Mike. Thanks for having me. Have a
Yes,
good one,
sir.
guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.